Welcome everyone to today's live webinar. I am Melissa Kovac, your host for today. We are going to be talking about all things optimization when it comes to a content supply chain, all the way from that very baby idea to global and scalable distribution. I'm super excited about this session, mostly because we're really going to be taking you truly inside, behind the scenes, under the hood, whatever metaphor you want to fill in there as well, inside of a real connected content workflow, and showing how teams are truly delivering quite a bit more work, a lot faster, and of course, with less chaos, which is, we can all get less chaos more where we can get it, right? And it's all done how? By connecting Wrike, of course, and Media Valet, which we will be talking more about later in this presentation. If you're not familiar with them, you're going to be BFFs in no time. We're going to be talking about how we are going to be moving content from that ideation to distribution much more efficiently, much more collaboratively, and with a whole lot less friction. We'll walk through Aviva's real-world workflow, the power of integrating Wrike and Media Valet, and the measurable impact that they have seen across their global teams. It's kind of a meta on meta on meta conversation. We're talking about software on software on software in software. So we're truly digital. Don't think too hard about it. I did the other day. It brings you down a rabbit hole you don't want to go down. Lots of identity crises occur. But at the end of the day, all jokes aside, today's session is going to be action-packed and very practical. Again, that behind-the-scenes look that is super valuable for those looking to do scalable processes within your workflows. We all learn best by each other's examples, and really seeing what a true steam engine that can become your content ecosystem really will. So I'm pleased to have the opportunity to introduce you all to today's speaker panel. So join me in welcoming our awesome panel here to the stage. Go ahead, make sure everyone's hanging out with us. First up, we have Christian Graham, who is the Director of Content Operations at Aviva. He'll tell us all about what Aviva is, what they do here in just a minute. But Christian Graham he's a powerhouse. He drives clarity, he drives collaboration, and he really creates these awesome standout customer experiences with this ecosystem that he has built. He's also a joint Wrike and Media Valet customer, so we're kind of sharing him, so to speak, and he'll give us a real world, don't say that 10 times fast, real world look at how this connected workflow that he has built very artistically and operationally sound, sophisticated to say the least, truly comes to life. Welcome, Christian. Thanks for joining us from the other side of the pond. And next up, let's sip of tea here. We do have Steve Outerbridge, which, you know, Steve, not going to lie, your name sounds really nice. Sounds like, you know, like author's name. He heads up the strategic partnership division over at Media Valet as one of their directors. And he has been knee deep, so to speak, in the DAM space, which if I worked at Media Valet, I think I would maybe get fired for the amount of puns I would put in using the term DAM.
Don't get fired, Melissa. Keep them coming.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it all day. So in that DAM space with Media Valet for years, and he has partnered with his friends over here at Wrike since the very beginning, and we're super grateful for it. He is a really passionate guy who's really all about those smoother processes, trying to get all those kinks out every time, and truly smarter workflows. I've only known Steve for a few weeks now, but he's got great insights on what's possible when DAM and work management truly click. And Steve, I do really would like your top DAM pun by the end of today's live session.
You got it.
And of course, Mr. Eckmeyer, no stranger to our Deminar stage today, our senior product marketing manager here at Wrike. Jamie has been living in this enterprise software marketing world for over 16 years, and he just brings a ton of experience across so many cool industries, and has a really amazing, fascinating background in design and even game development. He's really trick of all trades. He'll walk us through how Wrike really helps power all of this connection and helps scale all of these content operations that we're about to dive into. So with that, Mr. Eckmeyer, I'm delighted to pass the screen to you.
All right. Thank you, Melissa, and welcome everybody. I thank you for the introduction, but for anybody who might be new to Wrike, and I think we want to hop to the next slide maybe here. There we go. For anybody who's new to Wrike, I'll give a quick introduction overview of who we are and what we do. So Wrike is a powerful work management platform, and it's built to help teams to do their best work together. We empower organizations to break down barriers, streamline processes, and accelerate growth, all by bringing your work into one collaborative space. So with Wrike, teams can manage their projects, they can automate their workflows, and you get real-time visibility into all of your processes across your organization. So we help really any team or department, and we support a few key workflows that you see there on the slide, like project portfolio management, product lifecycle management, marketing workflows like campaign management, and client service delivery. And underlying all of those workflows that we're working with is a layer of work intelligence with AI, enterprise scalability, and with our acquisition earlier this year, also visual collaboration with Klaxoon. So Wrike has lots of powerful features like an intuitive interface, customizable dashboards, and many robust integrations with solutions and partners like Media Valet that make it easy for connecting people, their tools, and their data. So everyone, at the end of the day, it's about staying aligned and productive. And with that, I will hand it over to Steve for introduction to Media Valet.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. For those who are not familiar with Media Valet or digital asset management as a whole in this segment, Media Valet is a leading cloud digital asset management platform designed to help marketing, creative, and operational teams centralize, manage, and distribute all of their digital assets at scale. Most commonly, rich media assets such as photos, videos, graphics, PDFs, creative source files. There's a growing list of over 350 file types that we support. We combine robust permission structures with metadata to drive powerful search, which includes several facets enhanced with AI. We provide seamless integrations to creative applications and Wrike, so wider teams can quickly find and leverage appropriate on-brand assets where they need it. So we see DAM as a key pillar to any marketing tech stack. It's a privilege today to discuss how that looks with someone as knowledgeable as Christian, who has constructed the content supply chain over at Aviva. Christian, again, welcome. Thank you. I'll pass the floor over to you to tell us about Aviva.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Melissa. And it's great to be here today. Thank you for inviting me. Aviva is a global leader in industrial intelligence software. We provide software solutions that help industries design and build their plants, operate through real-time operations and digital twins, and optimize their entire industrial ecosystem, leveraging AI, analytics, both sustainably and securely. We're trusted by over 90% of the Fortune 500, driving resilience for everyone from Starbucks to Shell to the Palace of Versailles. In my team, we've been using Wrike since 2018, and we live in Wrike in our day-to-day in our creative studio, and we have growing use across marketing and other departments. We implemented Media Valet in 2023, and we've continued to evolve our setup and processes through the maturity curve. Got 36,000 assets and about almost 7 terabytes of data. And looking forward to our discussion today.
Wonderful. Christian, Palace of Versailles, I feel like I'm now in the presence of royalty. Welcome, Your Highness. I'm curious. We're going to hear a lot about what you're doing with Wrike and Media Valet today. But I'm curious, what did your content creation and distribution process look like before you were using Wrike and Media Valet?
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. So, back when we started, imagine a world where we've got a lot of email. We had a few ticketing systems too, but no one was really using all of them together. Things were a bit fragmented, very difficult to keep track of things. We had a lot of SharePoints and probably even more spreadsheets. Our studio was producing up to 250 gigabytes of content every month. And so where do you store this content? We do have Dropbox with limited licenses, but it's not really a preferred tool. How do you share things? Overall, really lots of disconnects, a lot of bumpy processes and bundles of inconsistency. And, we kind of knew that we needed to do something about it.
Right. And I'm imagining maybe approval processes, version control, localization, were those areas of difficulty in your former world of spreadsheets and SharePoints?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the really key ones here. Approvals crucial, and approvals via email are just about the worst thing, right? You have the wrong approvers signing off, people not copying in the right people. You get those ambiguous responses. Did they like it? Did it approve? It's a bit of a nightmare, really. And it's really impossible to approve files over a certain file size. I mean, you can't just put a video in an email and say, hey, can you approve this? Version control, also really, really difficult. Imagine you got your platforms all over the place. You got a different version over there, another version over there. Someone makes an update. Well, they updated that version to that platform, but not the other version to that platform. So do you know you've got the latest? Very difficult to search. You've got pockets of SharePoints where colleagues sort of creating their own mini sort of content stores. Huge amount of admin work as well to kind of move these files around, save them to your computer, upload. I say upload and download between the clouds because everything's in a cloud now, right? It takes a long time to move things around. And then localization is really a tricky one, I think, still for us. And as the versions change, you've got that kind of exponential kind of version control shadow of all the language versions. And again, with lots of SharePoints, which take a huge amount of time to administer, where are all those versions and who's making those kind of language versions. So with lots of platforms, but no single source of truth, we realized we had to kind of really look at our content supply chain and make some changes.
So when you're looking at those changes and kind of putting the pieces together, Christian, I know you started with Wrike and then you kind of implemented and connected Media Valet. I think it'd be helpful for the audience to hear what a connected content supply chain looks like at Aviva. I know we're jumping into the current state and there's kind of a visual. Melissa, if you could pop up with that engine you've constructed, could you kind of walk through this ecosystem that you've constructed at Aviva?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Steve. So as you can see in the diagram here, this shows our connected content supply chain. And before, of course, everything is disconnected, but our key platforms here are Wrike on the left-hand side. You got Media Valet, our DAM in the center, and on the right we've got the downstream platforms, the places that want all the content, and how do you get the content to the right places. So we use Wrike particularly for its really strong and powerful review and approval functionality, and that really assists the friction-free process. And we use that in marketing. We've recently scaled that across to our friends in the commercial team. And then in the middle there, Media Valet is our single source of final published truth, but also our single source of metadata truth. The metadata is a very, very important piece of the puzzle. The integrations are also key, and the Wrike to Media Valley, we use the out of the box integration, and it's great to have that available. So we use that to bring our content into the DAM, and then beyond the DAM, we've got we use MuleSoft as our integration technology to connect to our website, to our sales enablement platform, marketing platforms, and video platforms. And MuleSoft's very important as well, because it takes the Media Valley ID. Every time an asset arrives inside the DAM, you get a Media Valley ID, and that's kind of connected to that kind of single source of truth, right? Because if you got the ID, you know where that content is, and so we push that ID across with metadata to the downstream platforms. And so, say that you wanted to update a version, you can just read the ID and it knows which version to do. So I think it saves a huge amount of time.
Very cool. And I see also CDN links on that downstream piece. The audience made acronym Content Delivery Network. I'm not sure if there's any kind of color that you want to add there, just in terms of tying to version control and just that component piece.
Sure, and as the content comes through the supply chain, we're kind of building on the metadata as it comes through, and we'll talk a little more about that in a second. But also from Media Valley, you can send what I call the binary file, like the PDF itself, or a CDN link. And the CDN link means, say for example, on our website, we might want to be playing some videos. Well, rather than send that video to the website, which is of course not really a media server, but videos are very big, you can send the CDN link, which means when you press play on the website, it's actually playing it from our DAM. And so CDN links are a really, really useful part of the supply chain.
Very cool.
Fantastic. Christian, you've been talking a lot about some of the systems and tools that you're integrating and across the content supply chain. I'm wondering if you could touch on maybe some of the stakeholders that are involved in all of these stages across your supply chain, content owners, platform owners, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. And going on looking at the left-hand side, and Wrike, it's really, really important that the approvals are made in Wrike, because we use RACEs for who are the authorized approvers, right? Our DAM governance requires that all assets are approved before they're received. And so Wrike's approval process bakes this into the audit trail. You can see it in the task. We can see who approved what and when. So all of our, everyone's role in the approval process is really important, from our requesters and those content owners. And then from the DAM, from Media Valley, all members of Aviva can access through a web browser our DAM. So all the content that's come through Wrike into the DAM can be accessed freely by anyone in the company. And also we give access to some of our agencies as well, so they can access media files and things. And you're really seeing only the published files, because in Wrike you've got the review and approval, so you might have several versions, but the final version goes across into the DAM. And so that's where we want everyone to go to look to get their final versions. And then of course, the system itself is managed by a team. We have our own content operations team, and they manage the Wrike platform and then work on the integrations on the DAM. And then each of the platform owners owns obviously their own platforms. And we've built some really great relationships with our platform owners, with IT and leadership, and it really makes a huge difference to getting things done quickly but without friction. So building relationships with everyone in the supply chain is key.
Right. Fantastic. Yeah. Collaboration, which is core to what Wrike is all about, is absolutely key to managing any kind of supply chain. So I think maybe it would be helpful. Can we zoom in maybe a bit to the left-hand side of the
Sure.
diagram there and hear more about your process, how it starts off with Wrike? And I think you have a amazing request form that you could touch on.
So before we go to the request form, like if you go to the previous slide with all the tasks, we needed to build our system, right? And the Wrike have these blueprints, right? And they are super useful. So we have, whenever someone submits a request, it comes through and leverages the blueprints. And so the brief and all those documents, related to the brief come into the project. So we have a project as our kind of top level. And then one thing we looked at was like, how do we simplify this? Because in a previous attempt, we had a lot of subtasks and subtasks, and we simplified to just one task per team. And you can see we've got the editorial team, the design team, video team, web team, social team, and the very important publishing team, all having a task. And that ensures that everyone's got that kind of swim lane and know where to work. And you wouldn't typically have all of these tasks, as obviously if it's a video, you'd have an editorial task and a video task and a publishing task. If it was a brochure, it'd just be the editorial task and the design task and the publishing task. So this allows us to create some real agile, real easy kind of to use blueprints, right? And the teams know where to work. For example, the team working on the writing will need that approved before then they hand it off to the design team, and then they'll make the PDF, and then it goes to the publishing task where we have all the final materials there. So this is kind of like the main structure, I guess, of our system on the Wrike side of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazingly organized and methodical approach. It's I think great for everybody in the audience. Take note of how Christians organize this. It's quite impressive.
And again, with the blueprints, we actually bake in asset type into each blueprint. So we have a blueprint for every single asset that we create, and that saves us. No one ever has to type in the metadata field for asset type ever, because when you submit the form, it's already pre-baked into the system. And so we looked at every single area where we could save people's time. We love efficiency and we hate duplication or manual work. And so talking about form, we created one form. I call it one form to rule them all, that we're quite proud of. Maybe we could move on to that next slide. And I see someone in the chat has asked, please explain asset type. Can I take that question once we're live?
Yeah, it's relevant.
And so, yeah, when I talk about an asset, I'm talking about a brochure. I'm talking like a video. I'm talking about like a white paper, and we call those assets. And so the asset type is how do we name those assets, and then we have a metadata field that's called asset type. So when we look for our assets in the DAM or in Wrike, we can see. Let's just see all the white papers, and then they're all tagged. I hope that helps answer the question.
Yeah, I think you're adding additional color to, and you can always do advanced filters in Media Valet based on photos, videos, etc. But you're adding specific classifications to how you describe asset types specific to Viva.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might all have different asset types for your situation. And so here's our what I call the content system Wrike form, and this is the version 3. This is our version 3. It's sort of all singing and dancing. Try to make it really simple for the end user, but behind the scenes we have 190 pages. We use literally every bit of routing and automation that you can use. But the key thing here, sort of thinking back to our content supply chain, is that when a requester starts filling out the form, they have to tell us key bits of information, like what is it I want? Do I want a white paper? Do I want who is the, what's the sensitivity? What's the owner team? What are the industries, right? In our company, we've got these industries, and so by selecting these fields, you're effectively starting to tag your content before it's even been made, and no one will ever have to tag those. That's the theory again, because it stays in Wrike, and that'll come across to the dam. So maybe if we go to the next screen, we can show you here, the kind of this is the sweet spot here between Wrike and Media Valley, where the two platforms talk to each other in perfect harmony. You can see now on the left there, the Wrike task, you can see all those metadata fields pre-populated. We also have another integration. I'll talk about it now. We use Wrike integrate, because when the fields come in in the project level, we use Wrike integrate to copy all those fields down to all the tasks. And so what you're seeing here, no one has had to manually fill any of this stuff in. It's all come automatically. There is a bit of governance and checking, just to make sure. I mean, sometimes people request the wrong thing, and you just have to go and change that. But then using the integration, you just press the button, and it comes across into Media Valley, and you can see the exact sort of same industries there that you've got, on the left and on the right. You've got the brand, it's the Viva brand. There's asset type, what we talked about just now. So we've got one that's called video-other, and you can see that on the left and on the right, and the asset creation date, which is really important, one where the asset made. And so there's just a huge amount of kind of efficiency here. I'd say it takes only 2 to 3 minutes to kind of publish using the integration, compared to like 10 to 15 minutes manually, because you don't have to download to your desktop and upload either, right? It's all handled, including video as well.
Or re-enter data entry, which no one likes to do. So I'm kind of, I did have the question that Melissa Davis asked, was just to help provide the audience with the different types of content or asset types that you're creating through these forms. So I see here, this particular asset was a video, and you're adding some context to the Wrike custom fields that are going into Media Valley attributes. Is there anything else in terms of logic that you want to add in terms of segmenting the types of attributes, such as I see a field here, usage sensitivity, so this is being approved for external usage, and anything else that you want to add in terms of attribute types?
I mean, there are of course these standard Media Valley kind of tags as well, of like, if it's a PDF, those things are automatically sort of picked up. The great thing about the custom attributes is you've got full control to write whatever your company or your project's tags are needed. And then as long as you create exactly the same name in Wrike, and in Wrike you've got custom fields, right? The Media Valley attributes, they're effectively the same thing here. Yeah. If you have them exactly the same, then it's just going to work. And I think this really helps the user experience as well, because no one likes to go searching on different platforms and have to learn a different taxonomy of what things are called. So you're making multiple efficiencies here by using the same metadata language.
I did see that there's a question from Susan about what if your request comes in for multiple types of assets?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and we do get those kind of queries. I think where possible, we like to push people to kind of submit a request for each asset separately. But if there's a project where you've got like a bundle of things that are using the very similar messaging and similar graphics, then they can come in together. But because like a brief for a video is going to be very, very different to a brief for a white paper, and there's different questions in the form. And so I think it's one of the age-old questions. How do we handle this question? I don't think there's a perfect answer, other than sort of just listening to what are the needs and wants of the business and trying to be efficient. But obviously it helps us in our content operations world if everything is all like tagged per the white papers in the white paper, the videos in the video, but we do have some more complicated logic where people can submit more than one thing at a time. So I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to do with how Christian has it set up, but at Wrike, we'll do marketing campaigns that have multiple asset types that are being requested at once. And we tend to break those out into subtasks for each asset type, just as a high level response. Nothing to do with integration on that, but subtasks for each asset type tends to work well from a structural standpoint in Wrike.
I see another question from Melissa Davis. Does the Wrike information flow from the request form into the Wrike custom fields? If so, are you using Wrike integration to pull this information into Media Valet? Could you please explain the data flow? Thanks. I think, Melissa, if you keep that visual back, that's essentially what Christian was kind of showing here, is this left field is the data that's being pulled from the request form as custom fields, and that's what is showing is being pushed into Media Valet. Christian, did you want to just add anything to that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the request form, when you build the request form, you're effectively building it using the Wrike custom fields, right? And so you can either populate them manually in Wrike, or you can build them in the form. So when requesters are filling out the form, they're effectively filling out your metadata for you for free, right? And then going from Wrike to Media Valet, you need to enable the connector, right? There's a Wrike to Media Valet connector, right? And when there's a button that you have that says load to the DAM, load to Media Valet, and it'll just take all the metadata. It just works, right?
I like the front loading for free, or I forget how you phrased it, but that's methodology.
Well, no one likes to do manual tagging, right? If you can help it.
Right. And just on the topic of getting things for free, I think part of it is putting that investment in upfront before things come through for free. Thinking of your 190-page form, Christian, sounds very daunting when you hear 190 pages, but that's the investment, the work investment that you put into blueprints and branching in forms and automations, etc., that makes it very easy from an end user perspective for somebody coming into that request form. So
yeah, absolutely. And we're it sounds like a lot of pages, but rest assured, we don't ask our friends, the requesters, to go through all 190 pages. They have different routes. I think they typically have like 2 or 3 pages, maybe 4 pages, depending on what the request is. Can't remember what I was going to say now.
I was just impressed with the scale. One form to rule them all.
Yeah, I mean, it actually works out better than having separate forms, because if you have lots of different forms, you've then got to update them all. It's like there's a lot of maintenance. But we do use the Wrike whiteboard, right, Klaxoon, to help understand how our form is organized. And so we've got a flow diagram which shows our form, so we can look at that, and we can see where we can make efficiencies, and we can look at that before we actually build it, rather than just sort of building into the live form. So
fantastic.
Very cool.
Excellent. As we're kind of going through everything that you've set up here, I'm curious, you talked about some of the challenges that you were facing before you brought on Wrike and Media Valet with approvals, version control, etc. I'm curious, how have things changed for you since you've implemented this? Any results or impact, what the impact has been for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're quite a small team, and so saving time is a really, really important thing. And if you want to move to the next slide, you can see some of the efficiencies we've made, time saved using both Wrike and Media Valet in the Aviva content supply chain. So that Wrike to Wrike integration with the custom fields, we estimate that's about 17 days a year saved, and that's going from 10 to 15 minutes down to about 2 or 3 minutes on the, just on the Wrike tasks. And that's using the Wrike integrate. And then next, that kind of Wrike to Media Valet publishing integration compared to the manual effort of 10 to 15 minutes to do that kind of publishing. We estimate that's about 36 days saved a year. I mean, there's a lot you can do in 36 days, but doing manual work is not fun. So we prefer to use that time for other more exciting things. And then using the Wrike form for submissions versus email, that alone can save your team 35 days a year. And that's the inefficiencies of using email and getting kind of lost there and the whole upload, download. And then the last one there is a massive gains using the Wrike proofing and approval system. We estimate about 323 days a year, and that's across the entire team. Think about not just our team, but all the requesters at Aviva requesting content. Collectively, we're saving all of that time. And so we all know that, time is the most valuable commodity, and we can do a lot more useful things with that time than manual work.
Absolutely. That's incredible. And yes, I can think of many other ways I'd like to spend 35 days rather than being lost in email.
Yes.
These are pretty huge quantitative metrics, Christian. It's always nice to see, these things articulated into that return on time saved. So you've shown the engine. It's and you've put a lot of work and strategy into building this out. Curious to know, sharpening the saw. What's next at Aviva with continuing to create more efficiencies or just add to this ecosystem that you've been building out?
Yeah, absolutely. The work doesn't stop, and we're always looking to raise the bar at Aviva. So, we saw that kind of end-to-end content supply chain. We're going to continue to integrate systems, other downstream platforms, and we've got plans to make life easier for our partners in the new year in that area. Another area we're looking at is actually using Wrike to trigger the publishing across the entire supply chain in one go, rather than sort of one movement to one platform and then one to another. Using the custom fields, we're looking at how we can trigger the kind of the MuleSoft down the line. Yeah, thanks for bringing up the slide again. So you can see there's a lot of hops, right? And there's still a lot, manual pushes every time you want to push an asset. Say you wanted to go from Wrike to Media Valet to the website to Wistia and to, all there's still quite a bit of work there. So we're looking at using the Wrike custom fields as the triggers, that when those fields are set, then when they arrive in the DAM, they become the triggers to kick off the MuleSoft. And so say that you wanted to publish to model platforms or unpublish or delete, you can control that from Wrike. So that's something we're looking at. I think there could be massive time savings there potentially. And then one of our bigger goals is really, okay, we want to save a lot of time, but really want to understand how our content performs. And if you think about it, you've got multiple versions of content in lots of different places. Like, how do you know how it performs? And if you want to understand that, you've normally got to create an export from each report from each platform. Spend a lot of time gluing it all together. By the time you finished it, all the data, of course, has changed. We're building an asset performance dashboard that connects using the Media Valet ID to then help us understand by each platform, like how's everything performing. And so yeah, we still got quite a bit of work to do.
It's exciting progress. It's very, very, it's fascinating. Very cool.
Thanks, Steve.
I think we might be heading towards the Q&A section of our presentation. Before we get into the actual Q&A itself, I was wondering, Melissa, could we see what those results to the poll were that we did at the top of the call? Because it might be interesting to dig in here.
Yeah, it seems that people are the biggest challenge for our audience today at 10 votes, 71%. If you haven't voted yet, still time. Pop in your vote there, see where we all sit. What about you guys? Steve, Christian, Jamie, what are your thoughts?
My vote was for people, for by far people. I don't know, Steve, Christian.
Echo, yeah, I'm curious to hear Christian's thoughts as brains behind a lot of the engineering of processes or ecosystems like this. So
yeah, absolutely. People really is the trickiest area, and the reason why is because let's talk at technology. So we just talked about Wrike and Media Valet. It's predictable. If you press this button, it'll always do the same outcome, right? Process. Well, process is largely, you have to do the hard work to set it and you can optimize it, but it'll always be fairly predictable. But people, on the other hand, are less predictable, right? And, sometimes you got to learn the process, but say if you forgot part of the process, then that can create a problem in the, in the outcome. You need to bring a lot of stakeholders on board. I mean, this really is a huge change management exercise. And, we've been working on this. I say go slow to go fast, right? We've been working on this for a few years. It doesn't happen overnight. I'd say really, I think that this people answer really shows where you should spend your time, right? Because we all sort of focus on the software. Hey, let's get that set up, test it, build it. But look at this, 75% of our time should be spent with the people. And that means a lot of meetings, a lot of listening, understanding what the challenges are, the pain points, giving the feedback. And we've spent a lot of time in a lot of stakeholder meetings with each of the teams. You've got the web team, the social team, the editor, each team have got their own kind of needs and wants. Then you've got to talk to leadership, tell them where you're going, talk with our partners, our vendors, the IT, there's a huge amount of stakeholders. And so people can kind of derail this thing at any point. And so the more time or a proportionate amount of time you spend with people is going to really set you up for success.
My experience echoes the same. Anytime you're dealing with kind of change management, best to get a stakeholder buy-in up front rather than to spring something on somebody we've changed the process. So if you bring them in up front, they're much more likely to adopt and use your process once you launch it.
Of course, that change management piece is always huge, and getting everyone's thoughts and opinions from the very beginning is always the best bet. We all like to be involved, right? That change management piece brings me to a really good question, Christian, for you. I know we're just up against about 10 minutes left. If you in the audience haven't yet popped a question in for our panel, please do so, and we'll use this time for that. Christian, I'm very curious to hear from that change management perspective, because people are always so finicky to work with. What are some strategies that worked best for you and the team for driving that adoption across the organization? Did you come in into any different departments, pushback, things like that?
Yeah, I think this is the ultimate question, isn't it, really, to get things done. And, as we just talked about with that people kind of answer, really getting buy-in is so important, and early adoption. And, we spent a lot of time talking to people before we'd even kind of started building this, right? Really understanding where are the real pain points? Okay, do we need this? Like what's the outcome? Like, should we commit our effort to it? And so getting leadership on board really early on is also really key, because if you go off and build something and then no one knows what you're doing, or leadership don't understand what you're doing, you're at risk there. So get
Yeah.
them fully on board as early as possible. And then, run the listening tours, right? Literally, it's a lot of effort, a lot of time, but it does pay out, right? And actually, when people are listened to, they feel like they're part of the change, and then they feel like we're building what they want. And it's much easier to accept something that you think that you've built yourself. And of course, we are listening to everyone, because I say to my team, we're not building this for ourselves. Like, we are the custodians, and we're facilitating a friction-free content supply chain.
Yeah.
And so those stakeholder meetings are absolutely crucial. Document them down, do the analysis, sell the benefits of the change. Well, what's in it for me, right? It's a great question.
Exactly.
Ask that question to yourself, like, is this what's in it for me? And then build pilots, right? Don't just sort of launch the whole thing in one go. Like, test it out, do little proofs of concept, and then bring people in, say, hey, is this working? Can you test this out? Get them used to it, because there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle here, and you can't even train anyone in one go. There's so many bits to learn. It would, it's too much. So you've got to do it in small pieces. It's lots of baby steps, and just sort of keep going. And you might feel like change isn't happening, but it really is. I was actually chatting to a colleague today, and we were talking about change over a year, and we're saying, well, at the beginning of the year, we were there, and now we're here. And what did we do all year? I mean, and we look at all the meetings and all the things we did. It's like, well, I wouldn't want to do all that all over again. And all those like 50 steps are needed, and it just keep going. Those little baby steps. Like I say, go slow to go fast. There aren't really any shortcuts. I think just keep focused, keep on the mission.
Exactly. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I loved what you said with that stakeholder buy-in. But at the end of the day, even though humans are the biggest challenge for all of us, it's, at the end of the day, it's something that requires a continual conversation that's, open and honest, and more feedback the better. And just that collaboration piece is really solidified there in terms of the power of right, if you even have to schedule it on your calendar each week or every 2 weeks, that level of governance, so to speak, I think is really where I really love how your story really shows that type of effect. It hits on that adoption piece, it hits on that change management piece, because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to help each other out, do our work. So I feel like that's a really important thing to see. I do have a few more questions here for you, Christian. It's specifically around that really great slide that we all loved about your time-saving metrics. Can you give us a little bit of an idea for Nora and the rest of us in the audience, how you went about calculating those metrics?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And, I think you just sort of break it down, right? Well, how long does something take to do, right? And how long did it take before? And now how long does it take with the integration, right? With the automation, with the efficiencies. And then you look at, well, how many of these things are we doing, right? And there's about 3,500 on average, like a year. So those numbers were for a year. And you can kind of build it up of like how many working days are there. And so I'd also recommend you chat to your Wrike customer services manager, because we've been working with Kate for quite a long time, and Kate gave us a lot of our ROI kind of numbers. So you can work with Wrike to also help you show what your savings are, because on Wrike you get a lot more data as well.
Very solid point. And I would reiterate that. Lean on your CSM. They're there to help you, even if you've been in Wrike for a handful of years. Having that type of insider connection at the ready, I think, is really important there, especially when it comes to this time of year, right? We're doing end of year reporting. They can help dial in those metrics for you and work with you to better understand how to use them. So certainly don't hesitate to reach out to your CSM. Thank you, Christian. We only have a few minutes left, and I have a few more slides for myself. So selfishly, that wraps up our Q&A for the day. And you guys can hang out with me still on the stage if you'd like. I just wanted to quickly just thank all of this panel. Christian, awesome. Always love working with you. Steve, I love learning about Media Valet. Still waiting for the best pun on that damn.
I gave it a 10 in the chat, Melissa. So
I feel like that really wasn't your best one.
Hey,
I feel like
room for improvement, sharpening.
you know, feedback, the good, the bad, the ugly. I keep it real for better or worse. Jamie, always a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time to tell us a little bit more about how Wrike fits into all of this meta software. Love learning how they all work together. For you in the audience, if you do have any outstanding questions, please don't hesitate. We are certainly here to help you make the most of Wrike, learn more about it, and learn more about Media Valet. We love our partners, and Media Valet is definitely one of our. See, I'm trying to think of a damn one as I'm talking. I can't do it. Can't do it on the fly. It'll come to me like
integrations.
We love our damn integrations. There we go. I feel like that one was kind of like
You're your best damn partner, Melissa.
Best damn partner. It's a little obvious, but I'll take it.
I saw a comment on LinkedIn actually about don't let your content get stuck in the damn jam.
Damn jam. That's what I was trying to do.
But
actually, we want your content to be jamming in the dam rather than being in.
There's the next conference for Media Valet.
You could probably play us out with Bob Marley on that one too.
Yep. All right, sir. Wish is my command, because who doesn't love more Bob Marley? And with that, everyone, if you want to see anything in more detail, I know everything can get super contextual within Wrike very fast. So certainly, if you want to see anything in a demo environment, happy to set it up for you. Check out that resources tab before you head out for the day and find some helpful links there. Again, that email will be your on-demand access along with those resource links, and maybe perhaps some other goodies will be in your follow-up email by tomorrow. I thank you all for joining us and taking the time to learn a little bit more about Wrike. Do check out our upcoming events. We do have one more seminar at the end or middle of December on the 18th. It's our What's New in Wrike December edition. I will be there alongside another expert panel to show us more about Wrike and what's all new and good and fun. Steve, Jamie, Christian, I bid you all adieu, and thank you so much for your time. Until next time, everyone, go out and do great work.
Thanks all.
Thanks all.
Thank you.